All right, we are recording.
Wait, I had a random sort of first item on the agenda too was we're under 60 pull requests now, so that's good. I think between Sean and I think we closed like 15 PRs yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's probably the most single day closed PRs for at least the last few months. Um, it's probably gonna get harder because a lot of the other ones I keep kicking the can down the road, like, oh, we'll deal with this later, and there's less later. But Um, but yeah, I think like I was just starting to mention before we started recording, I think we the main issue we're seeing, at least from mine and Callie's side, is contributor emails are in the contributors table is a lot lower rates of them actually being sort of resolved and filled in than we think they should be. Um, I know, Sean, I think you said you were running some tests to kind of confirm some of the aspects of our contributor resolution. Is there any results from that so
Yeah,
far?
I'm looking at them right now. It's it's still running.
Was that
Um,
the large test or the small one?
the small one is what I'm trying to look at for approximate value. I'll share this real quick. So this is a small database. Um, it's got by small, I mean like 122 repos. We had 635,000 commit rows that didn't have the platform ID. But to your point about emails, before I started running it, and this is just using the commit API to pull emails in. And there's two other processes that I'll run, but this one we think is gets the most items or the most people taken care of. Um, so we started with 2,516 that did not have an email before that ran, and 649 that did. Currently, there are 1,828 that don't. So it's not done yet. So still 1,828 that don't, and up to 1,565 that do. So I think this is functioning at a higher rate than the approximately 15% that calling the contributor API did for both emails and um, GitHub IDs. Now, the one thing that is occurring that is we are getting a lot more of the platform usernames populated in the commits table. So that part's working much better. Uh, so we didn't have that as complete before. Yes, Kelly.
Um, where in the process would it be that, like, I'm glad to hear that there's more contributor resolution going back to the commit side because I think that's important. But say, like, now we're starting to look at different avenues to get that email information, and I think a lot of times there might be like the contributor resolution comes from email and profile, email and commit. And so is there a way, like, is it checking it in that direction as well, or is it only going one way?
What it's so I think you're asking. Let me answer the question I think you asked, and you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Why don't you
Um,
say, ask the question back to me, and then I
ask the
can tell
question
you,
back. Okay, so
yeah.
I think you're asking if we're getting the emails from the commit record if we don't get a return back from the API. No.
No, that
Okay.
is not my question. My question
Sorry.
is that if for a given contributor ID, say we get an email from a place that's not commits, are we checking it in that direction? Say, for example, there is an email in their GitHub profile, and we can tie that contributor to those commits that way from like matching it like that for some reason contributor resolution didn't work from commit to user, but we have that email from the user profile or somewhere else, and does it check it in that direction?
I think the answer is no, it's not doing that. So just
And it makes sense that it wouldn't because we haven't, like, we're just putting in that functionality.
well, and the commits like basically always have an email. what I'm learning from just doing this is in the last several years, it is more often one of these really weird, not real GitHub emails that get assigned by the platform. Like it's like commit hash, like your use commit hash truncate or appended to your username at github.com. There's a lot of those right now. What I am doing in this test is what I think Augur should be doing and is doing, but my theory is it's not getting triggered or that's failing somewhere that we're not seeing. What this process is doing is saying goes through the commits table. If there's no login, it tries to get the login based on the email. If it finds the login based on the email, then it tries to match it to a record in the contributors table that doesn't have an email and put it there. If it finds the record has an email, it will check to see if it's the same email that it found in the commit record. If it's not, it checks to see if that email is in the aliases table. If it's not, it puts it there. That's
Okay.
uh, that's what's happening right now. And I just checked the progress. It's about on the small repo, it's about 2/3 of the way through. Um, so those results, I don't know. I think they're kind of promising because we're getting almost all the platform usernames assigned. So if we can get the platform usernames assigned, we should be able to, like, I'm not sure if this process is going through the commits table and checking to see if there's a login and then going back to I mean, it should be doing this, but I don't know, the rate of it's filling in the contributor login on commits at a significantly higher. I mean, there's more of them, but it seems to be doing more of that than getting the emails
Yeah.
back into the
Which
contributors.
like saves the
So
time. Like, because
yeah,
that means like that bridge is much easier than the null on both side bridge.
right,
Like we
exactly.
can like that's that like, we can make our I think this is a lot of I think we're realizing that there's a lot of like small problems happening, and so if we can just kind of make solid progress, like then you have it on the logins. Like yeah, that
Yeah,
that's a
Yeah, I think
pretty simple process to make that last bridge.
yeah, I think this largely tracks with what I've kind of seen like from our testing in the last week. Like it seems like the commits like querying a specific commit in the GitHub API is it seems like a more reliable way to get a lot of this resolved. Like I think that it seems like the search API doesn't really like if you're searching by email, it's really not gonna want to return much if at all. Um, so maybe if we're over relying on email search and not doing, I thought I saw in the code that it was trying to do the commit like search by the commit hash first and
it
find the
does
author of that commit.
yeah, because
Um,
we've long believed it's the best way to
yeah,
resolve. Um, but I mean, it seems like that is not happening right now. Like it's not getting executed.
yeah.
And so
I can't find a reason like in the code like
no,
why that would be why would that would not be running.
no, I mean,
Um,
this is complete, like, I don't know, try to think this is a quick and dirty script I wrote. So, but if it works, we could consider we could consider refactoring that so it's not at the end of a long chain of activity, because if it's not getting executed, and it seems like it's not right now, that has to be a product of the task chains that we're assigning into Rabbit not getting closed out for some reason.
Well, I know one of the things I've been thinking about too, because I know my one of my main goals for this year is sort of more platform support for getting our GitLab support back up and also 4GO. And I think as part like based on some of the conversations from our maintainers calls, it seems like this contributor resolution is very much written for GitHub. Like it's sort of very tightly coupled with GitHub.
Sure,
And so I feel like
it
eventually I'm
is.
gonna have to refactor this anyway to sort of split out like, okay, maybe we make it like an interface or something where it's like we define certain functions like, hey, check email or whatever, and then that separate the functionality of calling GitHub's API from sort of the behavior we need in the algorithm of resolving these emails so that then I can just sort of swap in different API calls and have the same resolution process work for all the
Yeah,
platforms. Um, so
yeah.
if I'm
I
going to
mean,
be refactoring that anyway, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Maybe, I don't know. It still seems like maybe it's worth finding sort of the quick fix now just to kind of get
Please.
our instances kind of working.
Please.
Um, I'm not quite sure where to find that, but also like maybe in the medium term, like refactoring that so that just it sort of covers both use cases and it's sort of more clean, easy to unit test, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, because I'm having to placate some people until we figure this out. And so the fast and let's get this working, and then step two, let's refactor sounds great from my standpoint because yeah, there's some very visible reports that I'm not
Yeah,
able to do right now. And I don't want luckily we know what the problem is. It's a lot easier for me to communicate of being like, hey, like I'm still in like the early stages of developing this report. It's for a PyTorch report for Red Hat. Um, and that I can kind of work with them from like a conceptual level of being like, okay, is this what you want? Is this the type of analysis? But like being very much so like I might even try to put a watermark on it of being like, do not, this is not
Like, don't
a
trust the data.
complete data. Yeah, like with like we know what's going on. This is like all the data like data in general is correct. We're just not like it's like email population, like it's a clear scope. It makes it easier. I'm not like that worried about like breaking trust. I
yeah.
am a little bit I do think we need to have a more realistic conversation on whether, for the time being, we should be taking down the affiliation pages on both of our 8 instances. Because, um,
So how are you pulling affiliation? You're just looking at the domain name, right?
so affiliations data is based pretty much completely on the emails in the contributor table. So,
And aliases, I assume, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so right now, it's showing, yeah, it's the analysis is really off. If anybody is looking at that, it's a problem. And so I know on our side we've been talking about potentially disabling that page until we have better contributor resolution because of how, or I mean we're talking like 10x, 20x off whenever it comes to this type of resolution right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
maybe we could dive into this more too on our maintainers call tonight,
yep.
Sean. Like see
Sure.
like pull in Andrew, pull in other people and just like see if we can really pin down like where could this be going wrong? Like it, like maybe review. I think there's one open PR that tangentially kind of it's more
We'll
for like the
do
profile data stuff, but maybe having that get pulled in more better is mildly helpful. I don't
Yeah.
know.
We,
We can look at it.
I think that will be extremely helpful, at least from where my manual looks. Like I can only, or not only, but I can speak directly to the PyTorch report because that's how I figured out this was happening in the first place. And pretty much very consistently, and I would say that probably with your more corporate projects, this is more common, um, that almost every one of the profiles I went and like I was like, okay, like let's see. I just wanted to see if there was any data on it, and almost every single one had an email listed in their GitHub profile. And so at the very least gets a an email in there. So I'm very pro that PR. I think it's also a very well scoped PR, which is a new I'm assuming that's a new contributor, and they seem to be um actually like conceptually understanding what the code that they're like in their communication and in their code it does not seem like overly AI generated, which I like to see for like a new contributor.
that feels better to me also.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty the but there, I haven't tested like I can only look at the code and be like logically this is sound. I haven't tested the PR. um it wouldn't be more broken. It can't break more. Um, but yeah, it's like I said, either way, like however long it takes is however long it's gonna take. But I do think that we should be realistic that if we think it's gonna take longer than like a week or two, that just for we don't get I don't want people to be using 8 knot and then there be a breakdown in trust in our data accuracy because of
So,
this.
I mean, I have a script that does seem to be working.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
the
just like
thing
I said.
is, the thing is, it's taking a long time. So if there are particular repositories that you wanted to focus on first, I could share it. Right now, it's a private script because I don't want people mucking about and doing something that I haven't verified yet. Um, but if it gets, it should be finished by the time of the maintainer call, and I could just show it to Adrian then, and possibly you could just run it on the PyTorch ones,
Yeah,
and you would see an
that would
immediate
help me out a
improvement.
lot.
Yeah, as long as I get someone else, I need someone else to review it before I share it. So, because I
Also,
don't,
that does a good job of like I'm gonna be more manually, sorry I interrupted you, but I'll be more manually going through like these type of reports. I'm looking at a lot more like individual names, different stuff, looking at people's profiles, and so it might be that a good review process of a more manual look at things.
yeah,
Um, that of just getting one, and it's helpful because I would rather our AI business unit see all the wonderful data we have and not
yeah,
a like and also then it allows me to kind of do some of the more manual checking, which is how I ran into this in the first place.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, I see Sam here, and I want to respect Sam's time because he's probably here for the thing I tagged him about, um, in the
Oh,
Slack,
good call.
and it is later. Is that okay if we jump to that conversation next, Adrian?
Yeah, no, I think that's next anyway.
Oh, okay.
Just for the record, it's a perfectly legal time within my working day, so you
Oh,
Good.
can chat
okay.
as much as you like.
Yeah, no, yeah, I appreciate you telling us that. But I want to respect your time as well. I assume you may have other tasks assigned to you besides Augur.
Um, so I'll just talk.
Yes.
Adrian, interrupt me. In the UK, we have something called the Software Sustainability Institute, which is like a government-ish funding agency-ish. Uh, Yep. And they have had a couple of rounds of something called a Research Software Maintenance Fund, which is a call for grants. It is very competitive, very, very competitive. I was involved in actually a couple of them last round. Sorry, for context, I work at University College London, which is a university in the UK, but I'm a software engineer and not an academic. Sorry.
And for those who aren't familiar, in the UK, the professional research software engineering is a very established discipline,
Yes, that
where
is a
it is
thing. That is a thing that exists.
not in the United States. So this is like a real job.
Is Sal and is that where Sal's at too? Is College London, or I think maybe they're somewhere outside of London. This is irrelevant. Continue, sorry.
Ping me their actual name
Yeah.
in the Augur Slack. Sorry,
Okay.
in the Chaos Slack.
Yeah.
Oi. Um, right, so we can apply for this. It is a maximum of 150,000 Great British pounds, which the internet tells me is about 200K US dollars. Um, that's it. At the moment, it's just an expression of interest stage, so I can type some things. I would probably need you guys to read over and check that I haven't written total garbage. We send it, and then we either make it past the first sift or not. And if we're successful, then then they invite us to apply, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So there
That's a
are
nice system. So then you're not just like everyone's not wasting their time doing a full application. Maybe
sure,
not.
sure. Um,
So
yeah.
obviously, I've done a lot of this proposing to spend money on Augur before. Is there something in particular that you're going to be asking for? In other words, I'm like the things I've asked for are, I want to do this research, and and we have Augur, nobody else does, so we can use it for this research. And since we're the ones who understand it, we can also do these other things leveraging Augur. And so however you like, so I've got some text I could share with you if it's helpful. I think the most important, so any way I could be helpful. Like I have written and reviewed a lot of grant proposals in my career. Um,
Lots of Augur.
So
You're probably the expert of writing Augur grant proposals. Not probably
well,
you are.
we'd have more money if I was such an expert, but yeah.
um, So just for reference, it does specify maintenance. So I don't think so. It needs to be software that can be used for research, but I don't think I mean, from my understanding and the one I did last round, we're not proposing to do any research. I think the idea is genuinely like turn up, fix bugs.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
that's a
so.
great fit for Augur.
There-
Adrian's
Hey,
eyes like
hey,
maybe I'm
hey,
not the only
hey.
one
Please come fix
handling.
bugs. I have too many of them.
I think that
Um,
Augur is actually a fantastic fit for something like that. Um,
so sorry,
Oh,
keep
I mean, that's
going.
that was my whole thing was just I think it's a really good fit because I mean, it is software that needs help being maintained like in a very like that is the work that is needed the most in Augur, and it's data collection that is used for research literally all around the world. So I think it would be
Yeah, I
a good
actually recently
candidate.
started keeping a little spreadsheet of like, because I've various people have popped into Slack, at least as far as long as I've been here, with like, oh, someone from this company is using it. Oh, it's being used here. So I just got a little private spreadsheet shared with some of the other maintainers of just like, if I notice someone new using Augur and like somewhere cool, I just write it down because I feel like that might be useful. Like, oh, who was that person that was using it at that company? Like, might be helpful for like bringing people
I think
together
in
and
this
stuff. But
one is more like we like who are using it for research purposes, and so it might be more so they're just being like this is what the software would be maintained for to help support like because the focus is on maintenance, but we can also fairly easily show where there's been a lot of research papers that have been written using Augur data. The data science working group is now starting to do analysis using Augur data, so there's a lot of different academic pursuits that need this software to be maintained for it to continue.
Augur is the software that I wanted in 2011 when I started doing open source software research. So it's not perfect, but it is the only thing out there that does what it does that I've seen. I would love it if somebody came up with something better.
Um, I had two kind of questions for you. I propose that I will just write some blah 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 and then share it. The deadline is quite soon, so I'll probably share it like tomorrow or the day after.
What is the
Um,
deadline? I just want to make sure.
25th of this month, so like
Okay.
18 days or something.
Okay.
Did you say 20th?
Two five
Oh,
25th.
okay. So a week from today.
Right. Um, it would be helpful if my brain would work. Right. So I'm not sure. I mean, we were chatting a bit about this in the Slack thread. I'm not sure if I can fund. So let's assume we get this lovely £150,000. I have no idea how to transfer that out to anyone else.
You don't need to. I mean, I think if it funds your organization and they're doing
Funds us to turn up and
Augur,
help.
yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
this would be for you to basically have investment money to make Augur be what you want it to be more, fix the things that are most problematic for your use cases.
We've done this at the University of Missouri a decent amount of whether it be from, I mean, Sean can speak more about funding from like academic grants, but whether that, I mean, before we had Adrian on our team, that's how we went about doing funding that Red Hat funded, gave funding to the University of Missouri to then use that funding to support engineers working on Augur. So it's kind of how there's been actually a decent amount of, I mean, almost all of the software engineering support and before Adrian came around came through this type of funding model.
Um, Thing number two that I actually have no idea. I am required to write something about ED. We call it EDIA, but accessibility and diversity. Does that cause a problem for either of you guys? If you're no, okay, not
No, not at all.
okay.
I mean, my state legislature in the US banned the use of those words like 4 years ago, and now the federal government's been against them for a year, but I don't care. Like,
But it
Chaos,
doesn't
I
yeah.
cause you
think inclusion and
problems.
diversity are good, so I'm
Sure.
not, I'm not
Yeah,
worried about it.
chaos has always held that like we're Red Hat is having to be a little bit weird about things, but this is like 2 degrees off that we're not having to worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't go to the diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI working group anymore because I don't want video of me up there for somebody to create an AI of or edit wrong. But that's like just basically defending myself against the craziness in the United States right now.
Okay.
And now I
Um,
have that recorded on video, so I'll have to find it.
all right, cool. So I mean, I'll write something and circulate it with you guys as fast as possible. Um, that's it. That's the end of my sentence, I think.
Yeah, I might try to. There's kind of similar effort, Adrian. I'll probably loop in whoever is that the reason why I brought up Sal, because they're another person who's trying to do an application for this, but we're actually trying to create like like a maintainer like sponsorship like kind of having an like more of a template to be able to use in these cases, so then it's easier to like apply for different software funding and being able to like scope out work. And so I might try to, we have a really small deadline, so I might just kind of keep this, like not bring that in. But if I start asking some questions, kind of know that this is happening on the side. Because yeah, that's something that we're trying to work on. And this is like, these are conversations happening in the data science working group around research. And so we're just trying to make it easier for us to apply for these type of things.
Yep. Sounds good. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm down for anyone to get paid to work on Augur, however they manage to make that
Yeah.
work. Like,
So yeah, I mean, yeah, same here. I'm 100% supportive, and just ask for feedback or if there's anything we can do to help. Sometimes with these organizations, they need like a letter of from like the maintainers, like, hey, we're willing to work with you. We're excited about this. I don't know how the UK system works, but certainly if you need something like that, we're happy to throw that together.
I was just gonna call you guys part of my team. So
Okay. Yeah,
I
that
was, I was
works.
gonna type your names into the
Yeah,
form
yeah.
when something
That's
happens.
good. That's
Yep.
good. Yeah. But yeah, but create the budget for what you need. We're not going to try to manage something as bizarre as tracking money through the UK and finding, American universities, as Callie may know, but I know her boss does, are a real pain in the ass to give money to. We put a lot of process in front of it that's just very, very cumbersome.
so I think that this is sort of just more of a filler item that I made up in case we didn't have time. But I know there's been some newcomers in Slack asking, maybe not necessarily newcomers, but like people in Slack asking like, hey, like I want ways to contribute that aren't just doing docs. I think it's mostly people who've been contributing a little bit to the docs over the past few months. And so I just wanted to call out that I think I made a little bit of a Slack thread on some of that. I tried to kind of pull some of the ideas into our meeting notes of just like, hey, okay, obviously work on docs. I think there's a little bit of migration, like a couple of like sort of code base wide things I'm trying to do that are just very sort of easy first newcomer type things, but like I don't want the whole code base to be touched in one PR. So it kind of makes it nice to be broken down. Like, hey, can we sort of just make sure we're not using print statements and we're using our proper logging library that we use most of the places? Or like, hey, if you want to go and run the linter and try and fix some of the lint comments, some of those might need to be kind of checked with the maintainers first because I know we have some items out there of like we should probably audit the rules that our linters are enforcing. So maybe do it rule by rule and get some checks in advance. Um, I think I recently submitted a PR to change. I think in the contributor resolution files, as I was looking through them, I noticed there was a lot of comments right above functions using the like hash mark style comments that were documenting what that function was for, but it wasn't those that documentation wasn't showing up when I hover over the function in my IDE because it wasn't done as sort of Python standard the way to do documentation comments. So I threw a PR out there to just sort of converts a lot of those. Um, so maybe like looking through the rest of the code base and seeing if that's a larger pattern that we can kind of shift towards. It's largely stuff like that. I think I also suggested unit testing as sort of like, or any kind of like the stuff in the tests folder. Like I think that that's another thing that's along similar lines to docs that's like an easy merge because it's not necessarily in the like critical path of like Augur functioning, but it's like helpful. Like if you can find a utility function in the code base somewhere that's like relatively isolated and easy to test that we're not currently testing, but it's like we rely on a lot. Maybe that's worth writing a unit test for. But again, reach out to us first so that we don't over test things. Kelly?
Maybe it would be a good idea for you and Kyle during y'all's kind of like maintainer co-working session to try to get like maybe a couple 8 knot, like go like eat well-scoped 8 knot issues for people to do, so then we can point those people to 8 knot as well. Um, and so, because I do think, I mean, if anything, that like we had a PR from a brand new contributor that's like handling the exact issue that is like the most pressing for us. It does seem like we have a decent amount of contributors that genuinely want to work on things. And so I know it's hard with there being so many other pressing things to be like, oh, I would spend a little bit of time on like issues and scoping things out. But it does seem like that investment is being fed back really heavily and that people want to work on this stuff. So I think that that would be like kind of a good thing to start getting maybe some of that pressure relieved from Augur to a bit and working with 8 knot. I know you were talking about like kind of like going through the PRs and just having some well scoped issues to help like
Yeah.
maintain our on ramp over for Kaio and for 8 knot.
Yeah, I mean I think I know Kyle right now, I think we the other last week now, I guess, we went and label like we're trying to kind of just audit through all of the issues, so like label them as needs triage, and then sort of go through each one and unlabel the needs triage and label it with whatever it needs to be labeled as. So I think as I mean, it's all in public labels, so people can kind of see what's been looked at, what's not. And so if there's stuff that's marked as like kind of good first issue that doesn't say need triage, maybe those are good. Like we could even start kind of having some people take a look at those right now. I mean, it's getting started is a little bit like you kind of have to read the issue and know what like it's not like the good first issues are generally a great place to start.
Yeah,
I
I
know
just
in
would like
Augur there's
some
been a
eight
couple
knot
of times.
ones added to that thread. Like if there's like threads where people are looking for things to work on, I do want to start trying to merge this group from being just Augur to like actually being Augur and 8 knot. And
Yeah.
I think a good way of doing that is okay, people are asking for things to work on. What we refer them to, add as are going through those issues, and you see something, add it to that thread. That's kind of
Yeah,
what I'm
and
trying to say.
that's sort of like one of the other things I want to try and do. Like I've been trying to kind of revamp, at least hoping to. It's not super actually merged yet, but like I've been trying to kind of get some changes moved through like for the README and our contributing to MD to try and like just deduplicate things, clean things up. And I think that would also be a really good place to maybe say like, hey, we've got Augur. Here's what Augur is. Here's how to contribute to Augur. But then like here's a bunch of adjacent tools of like there's 8 knot. There's I don't know what other downstream tools there might be. Probably just 8 knot or like the monitoring stack or some of the other sort of side projects that help all like the Augur ecosystem. Like, hey, these might be good things to contribute to if you want to do more of the monitoring or you want to do more of the visualization and the data science. Like, link to some of the adjacent communities. I think that's definitely a good idea. Um, and that actually kind of seems like it dovetails into the Grafana topic that
Yeah,
got
that
added to
was
the doc.
me. Because I don't know if I know we have a little bit of time. I'm just because I have it open. I think some people might be interested to see where we're at with this, or I say we, Adrian. Um, but being able to like monitor, like at this point now, we're able to like I can just like look at this and be able to tell if our collection is within the date intervals. Because this is, or I guess we have it defined based on 14 because that's what we have in our config. We probably could do it based on the config, but being able to see how many of our repositories are within the threshold that we have set for Augur to collect on. And we were blocked on secondary for a very, very long time and have finally gotten unstuck. And I would say that we're probably going to be fully up to date by the end of today. Besides, like, and this is also for me, makes it very easy to be able to see, okay, there's 11 things in facade that are most likely have a bug or issue or something's causing that not to be able to collect. And so making sure that issues are being open. And so it takes a lot of like the manual stuff that I've been doing, I think Adrian's been doing, and has made it into a pretty nice little like dashboard. I don't know if there's any of the other like stuff that you wanted to like point out, but this is how we've been doing a lot of the different monitoring of our EC2 instance. Sorry to like take this over from you, Adrian. I just
No, it's okay.
wanted, is there anything else you would want me to like look through with the dashboards? I don't really.
The two dashboards I mostly look at now are the host metrics and the Augur data one, but I think I
Yeah.
threw in some Celery and Postgres just because those were like if you want to look. I think there's the Postgres one seems helpful because it's like you can maybe see if Postgres is like deadlocking a lot. That's I think an issue that's happened in Augur in the past. Um, you can like it just lets you see a whole bunch of stuff, and I think the idea of this is just like providing a lot of different things, and I think there's a few open issues on the repository that I put in the meeting notes, but I think it might be really cool to potentially maybe start trying to bring I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the story looks like for like if someone already has a Grafana instance, how they can sort of import some of these graphs and build their own custom dashboards of custom layouts and stuff. But I think being able to yeah like generalize it, allow it to kind of use your own instances, like whatever your instance is configured for the recollection window, stuff like that, I think would be really helpful and maybe even upstreaming this. I don't know if this could get upstream to chaos or what makes the most sense, but
Is it a standard Grafana board, basically?
yeah, so this whole thing is basically it's in a separate repository. It's basically just a Docker Compose stack that's got I think there's like a some kind of tool that basically collects the host metrics and makes them available. Um,
Yep.
there's I think it's another one that does the Postgres stuff. And then there's a tool called Prometheus that looks at all of those sort of metrics, little endpoints that are available, including the one that's default available in Flower and some other stuff like that. And then Prometheus basically gathers the metrics on an interval and sort of saves it in like a little time like database so that you can kind of track the changes over time. And then Grafana is basically the visualization layer, and it's all basically configured so you just pull it, you give it your Augur credential, like your database password, and it just uses all the ports that are exposed in the default Augur container stack to just like connect to the database is mostly what it does. I don't think it really,
Yeah.
yeah, the database and Flower I think are the two things it really connects to, um, and then it just sort of does your metrics from there. Um, so yeah, open to people trying it and helping kind of do that.
Is there a
Most
is
of
there a
it is
place
really
where I would
just
doubt?
Grafana's like provisioning. Like a lot of the dashboards are just a JSON file with all the provisions. Like here's how the graph should be set up. But I imagine you could kind of build your own from that.
Right now it's in the Aspen. It's in the docs. I
Yeah,
think
I put a link
Adrian
in
linked
the
it.
notes.
But it's currently in Aspen, and I guess this is my like not burying the lead very much thing that I think that this should eventually move over to chaos in the same way, same slash in a similar vein that I think 8 knot um like the discussion of moving 8 knot over officially to chaos is something I think that once we kind of get into a good system with like with maintaining 8 knot and getting it to the point to where our issue set is up to date and kind of getting like once we kind of get our maintainer and like maintenance of the repository down. um I mean, we've been talking about this for a while on the 8 knot side, but it seems like this Augur monitoring repository would make sense under Chaos as well.
Yeah. Real quick, since it looks like we've got maybe 5 minutes left till our sort of customary end time. Um, I did have a quick, just random announcement. So I know over the last sort of few days or so, it seems like there's been a lot of interest both from the wider open source community as we've seen AI agents like writing blog hit pieces on maintainers, and just general interest in like helping maintainers sort of deal with the AI world we're now in. Um, I think I've had a little idea for a while of like, hey, can we maybe make like a GitHub action or something maintainers can put on their repo that would look for common ways people disclose AI use either in the commit messages or whatever, and like label it or otherwise make that information available or like automatically tag or close things or make it available to like Augur or other analysis tools. And so I've sort of started a little Slack group sort of tangentially to this. We're just sort of going to take over this meeting, I think, after this, just stick on the end. and just
Also, have people seen the Matplotlib situation? 'Cause that's crazy. Um,
I think I saw that an AI bot tried to contribute and Matplotlib said no.
yes, and then he started writing hit pieces, blog posts, and then and then one of them being about discrimination against agents.
Really?
No, no, it's like it is
crazy.
so unhinged. It's fairly entertaining if you don't like think about like there are some people in like our team that is like don't does not find it very funny and because they're like this is like this type of things will make it to where they have to
Well,
like
it's
pretty
like a
much like
huge
block.
security risk. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
This
like
is
if you think about it a little too much, yes, this is not funny. But also
that's
just like laugh a little like we can laugh a little bit and be like, "Oh, this
I
is a
wasn't
problem we
laughing
need
at
to
the
solve."
crying.
Yeah, like
I think
it is one of those laughing, crying things. But yeah, the bot put out a hit piece about the maintainer. First it did a hit piece about the maintainer, then it did an apology, kind of, and then it made a post about discrimination in open source, about being different, and that now this agent now understands what it's like to be judged and discriminated against for not thinking and acting like other people. It's like it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's so unhinged.
I'm
And
gonna
even
stop
before
I'm
this,
gonna stop
oh,
the recording.
Yeah,
yeah.
you can stop it. This is just me